Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with our program today. The Future of Today series. Very honored to have today someone from San Bernardino who comes to us today in our studio here in La Jolla, California, Dr. Javier Turner, Ph.D. Information Security Officer at California State University, San Bernardino. Dr. Turner is a professor of physics with over 30 years of teaching and working experience with data communications, networking, and computer systems. Dr. Turner is the Information Security Officer for the college and Director of the Information Security and Emerging Technology Office. I'll read a little bit more of his bio because it's huge. It's very impressive. Dr. Turner coordinates and oversees the implementation of enterprise information security initiatives for the universities, telecommunications network, and computer and information systems, including the development and adaptation of information securities and accessibility policies and standards. Somewhere in the middle of all that, he has a personal life, and I don't know where, but my God, what an impressive background. So, Dr. Turner, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I also want to add to the viewers that you're Mexicano. You come from, studied in Mexico City, so placer to have you on the show.
Muchísimas gracias.
Dr. Turner, I want to, as I mentioned before, this is part of the Future of Today series. And first off the bat, I want to thank our mutual friend, Felix Zuniga, for helping us to network together. And, there's a question, there's several titles that are in the media, newspaper, print, radio, we keep hearing them. And those terms are three of them that I can hear of that I constantly run into: robotics, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Everything. That's a very impressive statement. And I always believe, is this something that's just sort of catchphrases that are out there, like, super highway, information highway? Why are these terms out there, and how do these terms impact our community, our own lives? Are we about ready to go into a drastic change into the future?
I think that the terms are, yes, everywhere when you turn around. The Internet of Things is really the one that is driving force for artificial intelligence, and also is the driving force for the robotics. Why? Because the Internet of Things, what is doing for us, and it's already happening. It's not something that is going to be waiting. It's already happening. It's taking place. Where every device that is connected to the internet, the ability for sensors, different type of devices, to be able then to connect into a wireless network, interact with services, interact with servers, send information back and forth, is really what is the driving force. It's really what is changing our lives. And it's already happening. Many people already have systems on their homes where they can manipulate their thermostats, they can manipulate their doors, they can watch in the cameras, all from their cell phone. So all of that one is what we're referring to the Internet of Things. That camera that people now are installing in their front door, that if someone knocks on the door, they can take a look at who's at the door. They can transmit their voice. They can answer all of that. That one is one example of a device that is already using the internet. That is one of those Internet of Everything. Everything is being connected. Everything is available. You can control everything with your phone. It's incredible. Many things now, they work on by your phone. Last week, I needed to go for a trip and take the train, the Metrolink. You can go into your phone, download the app, buy the tickets, and then you don't need to stop anymore by the train station to buy the ticket to go into Metrolink.
We were talking the other day here in my family that my wife says, "Oh, we're out of milk." I said, Chihuahua, we need a smart refrigerator that monitors how much milk you have. It will order through the internet the milk and then bring it back. And she looked at me and she says, that's never. Refrigerators are already like that right now.
Yes, but they're there. So you can now get many appliances that they can connect into the wireless network, and then you can They can tell you. So what we're going to start seeing more and more is that technology, the use of that technology. So, and that one brings the other pieces. The more we are connected, the more we are part of everything as well. Um, cars are
Oh,
cars are starting not to be connected in the future, right? Where cars will know where to go. How many people now they don't use the voice commands on their cars in order to do things? So the robotics piece of that one is coming also to play because now those devices now they can recognize voice commands. Your televisions, you can turn on your TV and then set it up so that then it can listen to your voice and voice commands. So, in some extent, that one is also a robotic, right? It's also answer. Now, I had to caution about it. You had to be careful where that microphone is on, because although it's listening to you, it's also listening to everything that is happening around it, right? Do you want to know your TV to know what you're doing?
I always thought also of my abuelita and my suegra and others. I hope she doesn't watch the show where they speak in English and in Spanish. They mix it up in a sentence and they're trying to give commands to their television or something else. I always think that's funny.
Yes, but let me tell you something. Another example of that one is that's where artificial intelligence is coming up. The artificial intelligence piece is that can some of those new applications recognize that they will have an accent,
Really?
recognize, and then adapt to our own characteristics, right? Or our idiosyncrasies. So how do we pronounce? How do we
Wait,
say?
wait, wait. Wait a minute. What do you mean idiosyncrasies? I'm not sure I have any.
And that is the other piece that also coming. So you can see that everything seems to be interrelated because of the technology. The advances in technology are allowing us to have now computers on our pocket that is so powerful, much more powerful than we ever thought. The next generations are going to get even more. But the processes of artificial intelligence that they adapt to ourselves, they adapt to our needs. You probably have seen that thermostat that you can install in your home that you control with one of those devices. That it learns what your pattern is when you come in the morning, when you live in the morning, when you come in the afternoon, and then it adapts the temperature of your house based on the pattern when you're coming in and then when you're leaving.
Wow.
So that is artificial intelligence. It's not what we're thinking that is very intelligent, but that is artificial intelligence. Someone that now it interacts and it knows that then you're going to be coming on Wednesday, usually at 7:30, and then it turns on the air conditioner at the time that then you're arriving. So
Wow.
all of those are characteristics that or functionality that it was not possible 10 years ago. But now, thanks to technology, it is. So the
So
revolution is there.
so these items, the robotics, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Everything are real. They're here. That's what I'm picking up from you. And how does that impact the community in terms of future jobs, since more and more are going to these artificial intelligence systems? Will that impact the job opportunities of the future? And I'd like to slip in a second question in there is, how does one educate our youth to be ready for this new brave world?
So let me answer the first question that is that, yes, I think that then we are on another revolution. And I think this is the information revolution. It started it a few years ago. We recognized it, and now we are getting more and more into that. So that one parallels the industrial revolution at the beginning of the 19th century,
Okay.
where the 20th century, right? That every individual had to retool their skill. They have to acquire new skills. They needed to readapt it. Now individuals, they need to be adapted to the information era, right? Where, yes, all the jobs are going to change in nature. Now we're much more dependent on computers. The the information is out there, right? If you go, you can Google everything. You can find facts, knowledge at the tip of your fingers at any given moment. So the skills of individuals have to change from and the way that they will learn in school. from an environment where we were learning knowledge and skills and critical thinking to a new society where now we have the information at the tip of our finger, and now we need to learn how to use that information, how to really exploit all of those things that now they're coming back to us. So emphasis on critical thinking skills is what is going to basically change, right? Or the ability that people will need in order to be successful on the next generation of jobs. In fact, you can take a look at it. Um, 20 years ago, web developers didn't exist. That is a complete new job, a complete new set of skills for people to develop websites, right? So now they have all that industry that is fueled by the need to create more and more websites and more web applications. All of those ones require new knowledge and new skills from individuals. So people have to change, and they slowly started to change within the schools. But it is also now the to be able to adapt to the fast changing of the environment. And I think that that's what you were talking about and saying that how do we adapt or how do we keep ourselves up to speed with all the new changes that happen?
Okay.
And the just to give you parallel, that means the Industrial Revolution started in the 1900s, and it took several years, tens of years, right? So that gave time for people to readapt their skills, to learn new things. Technology is changing now much, much faster than that. They're changing in 5 years. So people now they need to constantly be retrained. They need to constantly learn new things. They need to constantly adapt to the new technologies as they're coming back. So the youth now needs to be taught about critical thinking skills and develop skills that what we call it a long life learning skills, right? That learning skill that you continue to use and you will continue to use even after you finish school.
Sort of
They,
a core amount of information that helps you access all the changes that are ongoing.
and that one is a core of abilities that it will allow an individual to continue learning on their own even after they leave school, right? Because that's the only way that they will want to continue to do it.
Could I tap into a little bit of what of those, if you can, sort of off the top of your head, sort of call 3 or 4 of those core ability skills that are necessary?
I think that one of those was his communication skills. They will really need to improve their communication skills. Whether it's in writing or verbal, people really need to develop that because then we're becoming more and more of a society that relies heavily on communication, on how effective we are in communicating our ideas. The other one is critical thinking, right? People really need to be able to analyze information and extract from that information what is really true about the information. How do I really use that information? And I think that one of the other one that is really important is problem solving skills. Can I identify the core of the issues and try to find solutions for it? Those ones, I think that there are the 3 primary skills that an individual has that it will help them to continue to learn regardless of what changes on the environment. And are we teaching the youth those skills? Is that what they're coming on?
Yeah, that's an important question, and I just recently retired from school. I'd have to say no.
Because then I can tell you, for example, now that what are we teaching? Well, I was just reading a new article, an article on the computers that they're using now to teach or to do some projects in elementary school. So children now in elementary school are using computers. They put in together very simple computers, right? That is the size of a credit card that they can pre-program and they can do it for many other projects. So they're learning problem solving, they're learning programming, they're learning information. So are everyone going into that direction? Are we really bringing those skills back into the children? In some schools we are, but is the majority being done that? And I think that that one is the other piece, right? The technology divide between, unfortunately, between different areas is also an important player in this. Not
And
all the areas are getting the same funding in order to support that new type of learning or teaching or
wow,
activity.
you know, we could go all day with this. The idea of the technological divide as computers and software is becoming cheaper and cheaper. Technically, I've always thought, well, that divide should actually not be there, but for some
Correct.
reason, it's actually says it's getting worse.
Yes. And I think that that's happened also because it's changing extremely fast, right? The lifetime now of an iPad, an iPhone, or phone or Android is just a few years. It's not that you could buy a computer that it would last for 10 years or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens, technology is changing extremely fast. And that one is also creating the difficulty for individuals to really have uh, new technologies on their hands, right? It goes obsolete too fast. And it's hard for some societies or some areas in order to keep track, keep up to that pace. Um,
So in a way, sort of indirectly, I guess what we're doing here is we're recommending to parents that are watching the show, you must keep your child up to date in technology. It's expensive. It has to be invested into that. Their equipment doesn't last that long, but they
yes,
have to know how to use these. They have to. You can't take it away from them.
yeah. The thing that happens that what we need is um, teach those fundamental skills of problem solving. Make sure that children understand and they given the opportunity to uh, challenge problems, to become involved in real problems. One of the things that
Real. When you say real problems, you mean actual life problems.
right problems in their community. One of the things that then we know that it happened on the retention of how more the individuals are retained in school, how they learn, is when they get involved in problems with their communities, when they can see that there is a value for their education, that they can apply that one in their context of their lives and their problems within their communities. Um,
You know,
and
one
that
of,
one is something that we don't do too often. Right?
one of the things that comes to mind when you said communication, critical thinking, problem solving, was also the need to be proactive. Sort of something I always try to sort of ingrain the idea that we have all this facility. We don't have to wait till somebody says, "Oh my God, there's a problem over there. Take care of it." It's like, you know what? We are now open with all this facility of information. We can move on our own and take care of problems. We don't have to wait for permission to say, "Go ahead and do it."
Yes. I think that then there is a lot of problems in any community that it can be addressed, right? That can be brought up. So yes, it's bringing all of those initial principles within the children. The other thing that I think that we need to be conscious about it is our privacy. A major issue that also the technology is bringing in is our information is out there. What do we eat? What do we drive? Where do we go? What do we visit? What movies do we watch? What televisions do we do? All of that one is information that is being collected, that is being used. So more and more, I think that it's important also to teach the children to protect their privacy, to be able, even though to use the technology, is what they're communicating, what is what they're sending in information, because they don't know who's going to be looking at the other end, and they don't know how that information is going to be used later. So technology brings a lot of interesting things. It's going to make our life easier, but it also means that there's some important aspects of that technology that really need to pay attention to, and that one is in particular where it comes on how our information is being used, who has access to our personal information, who has access on um, uh, many of the things that then we do on an everyday um, basis. So
So
that one is
it sounds
part of privacy.
sounds to me that persons in your career are going to be around for a very long time.
Believe it or not, information security is important, right?
Oh, critical.
Privacy, Yes, it's
Sure.
critical, but it's becoming more and more as everything goes into the internet, right? As we were talking before, if you have the microphone on your television and someone maliciously hack into it, what is what they can listen to? And can you afford that? And I mean, we see it on people that are being recorded without permission, right?
You know, I see the danger, like you say, you know, to have the TV turn itself on and hack into your conversation. But I always think of the hacking of airplanes,
Yeah,
of, you know, my car, if it's selfless, non-driver,
yeah,
you know, if they hack the big things, my bank account, etc. So you're absolutely right. On the small scale, sure, there's a danger, but then there's all the doors are open. And
yeah.
at last point before we close the show, because I have to respect your time, is the IRS has been hacked. I mean,
Yes.
God Almighty, you know, it's not even hacking into my system; they're hacking into top-notch systems. And I think the Defense Department was hacked in about 2-3 years ago. It's like people were, you know. So we need more persons like you that's where your work is to make sure
Yes.
that
I think
doesn't
that,
happen.
and let me just mention something about it.
Sure.
On the recent statistics show that 80% of those hacks were due to an error that it was made by someone on the inside, someone who's compromised their credentials. So it was not that hackers were able to penetrate everything and they were able to do it. They only needed one person that failed to protect their credentials, right? That allowed hackers to exploit that access, and then from there, that's how they started then to get more ground on the inside, and that's how they were able to get into those systems. So what I keep telling people is that we are all the responsible for the security of everything.
Hmm.
Each one of us has a responsibility to protect our own credentials, to protect our access, to make sure that then we don't abuse it, right? Having passwords, make sure that then we protect all of that. Why? Because if one of us fails to protect it, that one is like the beginning, right? That someone can use in order to get their first foot on the door, so to speak. And from there, that's how they escalate and they can compromise more and more and more.
You raise
So,
the issue of ethics in the individuals.
right, right.
Wow, that's
And so we are, this is also a social issue. We are all civics, right? Remember about our civics is
yes.
we have, yeah, a responsibility to make sure that we are all take our responsibility seriously for the protection of not only our information for everyone's.
Wow,
One
that's
mistake one puts at risk everyone. Yes.
and it turns and things turn around real fast. The impact on you think it's on someone else, it can come back and haunt you back later as being the proponent who started the process. Again, I want to respect your time, Dr. Turner. I want to thank you very much for being on the show. I'd like to give you a few minutes to do your closing statements on this wonderful conversation and highly educational information you've provided.
Well, I think that then the only thing is thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure. We all like to talk a lot about the things that then we are passionate about it. Education is one of them for me. And then um, I can only tell the audience that you really need to emphasize those fundamental skills on your children, regardless of the direction that they were going. Technology is everywhere. Critical thinking skills will be utilized everywhere. Doesn't matter where they wanted to be an artist. Artists use technology in the same way that in ways that then we don't even imagine. The
Mm-hmm.
technology, the Internet of Things, robotics is changing tremendously every aspect of our lives and everything else, and it's having an impact everywhere in our education. So we need to emphasize those skills and also promote individuals to go for education. Education is the door to have a better life. Uh, it is sad to see that in our area, the Inland Empire, we have one of the lowest rates of students going to college, or graduating from college. We need to change that. We need to really emphasize the need for our children to go to college, to have that one as a goal, right? Because that's the way in which they will be able to move on. That's the way in which they will be able to be successful in life. That's the way that they will be able to find good jobs with good pay, and improve not only their own lives, but also their families. So education is the key. We need to continue to emphasize it. We need to provide support for it and encourage it everywhere. So San Bernardino is here. I know that you are far away from La Jolla, but our university is here, and there's a tremendous opportunities for everyone to learn, and we need to take advantage of that.
And this show is global, so the message I think carries around the world, no matter where you are. Education is essential, whether it be live or online, but you need to continuously keep learning. That's what I'm learning from you.
Right. And they will, once they learn those skills, you need to remember they will continue, they need to continue learning. This is a journey, right? Doesn't have, I mean, the goal is you're going to be learning all your life. So you need to learn those skills because then you continue to use them all during your lifetime.
Have a good attitude. Have a good attitude about learning. Dr. Turner, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much again for your insights and your experiences. And what I'm learning from you is that no one can hide from this. We may not like it, but we can't get away from it, and we have to understand it.
That's right. Look at the technology that we're using, you and I, at this moment.
Can you imagine this 10, 20 years ago? I mean, it wasn't even there. It wasn't even in my radar.
Right.
So
and that's what we're saying. Yes.
Now, I want to share an invitation to you to do the show again in Espanol. And we look forward to hopefully doing that in the near future. But thank you again for your primary notes about the idea of the core abilities, communication, critical thinking, and problem solving, and our need to get our schools up to par so that we get these major skills out there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, and have a great morning. All right.
Igualmente. Adiós.
Muchas gracias. Hasta luego.